Welcome to Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast. This is your host, Hatch, with my boy.
Yep. T.O., I am in the building, and I like this segment right here because we have another receiver on the show.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? We got
talking NFL draft 2022. Khalil Shakir is in the building.
Khalil is in
my
the
man,
building.
Boise State wide receiver.
Yes,
How you doing,
yeah.
man?
I'm good.
You know you light skinned, so they gonna think you soft. Dog.
We gonna start the show.
Yeah.
We can't warm up now.
Get your popcorn ready.
Can't warm him up. No, you just come in and get him.
He light skinned.
You light skinned.
That's how it goes. That's what I always say. Just turn on the film, man. We good.
There, that's what you say. Let the film show.
I like that.
That's
I like
what's up,
that.
man. So how you enjoying the process right now, going through, like, getting ready?
Yeah.
Of course, you did your pro day, all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? Off-season stuff, but the draft is almost here, right? You getting nervous, you getting antsy. Like, what's that feel like?
It's just like I wanted to be here already. You know, like you grind for so long to get to this moment, and you know it's less than 2 weeks away. It's right around the corner, and it's like right now I'm just working out, trying to get myself in football shape. You know, kind of transitioning from that combine training to football shape. With the draft coming up here, and now it's like work out, and I'm sitting there for the rest of the day. Like, what do I do with myself? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just wanted to be already.
Yeah, so what are some of the expectations? Obviously, like I said, you're putting in the hard work right now. Looking to obviously forward to the draft. Do you have a general idea? I know if you got an agent, you kind of have a projection of where you may go, like the best case scenario, least case scenario. What in your mind, like, what are your expectations?
I mean, I'm not expecting nothing. I'm not going in expecting, second round, third round, nothing like that. That's right now we're mostly projected, day two guy. But for me, it's like I'm not going to expect day two because at the end of the day, I'm not going to get my hopes up and then, I don't get drafted till later, So for me, it's just keeping my mind open to whatever happens. At the end of the day, any opportunity I get, I'm going to just take full advantage of it.
Right. Because, again, the most important thing is understanding it don't matter where you get drafted, right? It's like once you get in the NFL camp, it's going to be, 14 receivers? You know what I'm saying? Like 1 through 14, and you ain't going to be one, It's like, but I have to figure out where I fit in on this team, right? On the roster, as far as playing special teams, as far as just, being a third receiver, fourth receiver, right? So what are your expectations when you're talking about, like, going to a specific system? Would you like it to be more wide open, or do you feel like your skill set can pretty much adapt to any system?
I mean, I feel like I've been throughout my college career, I've thrown through three whole different systems, with a lot of coaching changes and, switching OCs a lot. So as far as going into a team, for me, it's like my mind is ready for whatever, I done been through, learned, 3 different playbooks already and open all that type of stuff. And for me, even if I'm not wide receiver one, I provide special teams value as well. So my mind is open to everything, I'm going in with whatever the team needs me to do and whatever is going to get myself on the field as much as possible I'm willing to do.
Man, that's admirable to hear him say that, like, offering his services to special teams because not many guys, like I said, have that mindset of knowing, okay, I'm going to be drafted as a receiver, but then hearing him say, okay, yeah, wherever the team may need me, whether that's special teams, wise or whatever, or if it's, third receiver, fourth receiver, wherever I can get on the field to obviously make a name for yourself. Obviously, like I said, you don't really care whether it's second round, third round, but have your agent told you about, there are teams with specific needs, what I mean?
Because your agent cares what round.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right, but I mean, there are teams out there that need quarterbacks, teams that may need running backs, or are there any teams, the top 5 teams that you have discussed with your agent of receiver needs where you feel like, okay, you'll be a better fit for?
Yeah, I mean, more than a handful of teams, a little more than a handful of teams that, I feel like are a fit for me and that, we've been talking to the most. For me, it's a lot of guys are saying I'm going to be a slot guy. For me, I'm like, I can play everywhere, watch my film, I play everywhere, but if that's what the teams need me to do or want me to do. So it's more of, okay, what teams are in 11 personnel, majority of the games, and what teams, stay in that, so I can be on the field if I end up at the teams. You got teams like the Bills, you got New England who utilize the slot well, and, teams like that who, like 11 personnel, like utilizing their slots in ways where, I can really get out there and be creative and turn whatever, their playbook and just put it into my play style as far as their choice routes and juke routes and things like that. So those teams are, obviously what we like looking into, and teams that, need a guy like me.
Yeah, you mentioned a team like New England, a guy that thrived in the slot. You have Julian Edelman, the Wes Welkers. Thinking of Buffalo Bills, you have your Cole Beasley. He was at, prior to that, he was with the Cowboys. Are these some of the guys, like I said, you can play outside, inside, What do you feel like you specialize in? What gives you the best position or best? Yeah, I would say what's the best situation for Khalil to be successful, whether it's inside or outside?
I would say, when I'm on the inside or I'm playing slot, I feel like that's when you get like the full, toolbox, you know what I'm saying? Because when you're in the slot, the way I look at it is, I can line up outside, but when you're in the slot, you got so much more space to work. And at the end of the day, also when you're in the slot, the way we looked at it was, you got a nickel safety guarding you.
Yeah.
And safeties went to college. So they got recruited to college to tackle. Corners,
And don't let it be a Will Sam.
So that's kind of how it was.
You see, he's lighting up. He's like, okay, I get to do my thing.
Yeah.
It's like equivalent. It's a mismatch.
Yeah.
It's a mismatch. You get to really, like you said, put your full display, toolbox on display. Like I said, you get those minutes. You got linebackers, like I said, depending on the defensive packages. And then usually, like I said, if you're in the slot and you got a guy on you, usually it's like you're, third or fourth best DB, if that. And like I said, if you have that mindset, okay, I should already be out here on the field, you about to go do work.
Yeah, no doubt.
You about to eat. You about to tell them to get your popcorn.
Popcorn.
You know what I mean?
What's like I said, if you're talking about draft, like draft day, second, third, whatever round you're, doesn't matter to you, obviously. So if you have, let's say the Broncos, call your name, right? What's going to be like your reaction of surreal, excited? Like, what do you think? You know what I'm saying? Like, some people can't fathom it. Some people don't even understand it. Like, but what do you think the natural reaction for you, as far as these 22 years, of wanting this dream come true, and now we get to see it happen in rare form?
I honestly don't know. Like, I can't sit here and say I'm going to cry or I'm going to be, or just be happy. I don't know.
The reason I asked prior, too, because I want to see what you say, and then when I see it, you know what I'm saying? So I want to kind of get the comparison.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm going to have my whole family down there. My fiance's family's coming down from up Northern California,
Congratulations on
engagement
as well.
I think that I might have some tears because my grandparents, that's why we're having it down in Pensacola. They live down there, so bringing the party down to them.
Oh, awesome.
That's good.
And I have a feeling my grandma and my granddad, the moment I look at them, I feel like the tears start coming out. So,
I mean, you don't know how you're going to feel in that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, we've all been there. You just, emotion is raw. You know what I mean? I know we've seen a number of clips, even, a year or two ago, we saw DK Metcalf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a burst of raw
overwhelming
emotion with him, So we've all had it. I don't think I cried. I was just happy, that I even got drafted. You know what I mean? I remember, like I said, I was on campus with one of my college coaches, the linebacker coach Corey Edmonds. We was at his apartment. I think I just had like my mom, my brother, and sister there, a couple of my cousins there, and like I said, I didn't really have the dream as a kid to play in the National Football League. You know what I mean? So things just kind of just unfolded, just before my eyes. And then all of a sudden, like I said, I get an opportunity to get drafted. And so I had the projection of maybe at best going late second round, then, early third, but then I end up going late third, almost in the fourth round. So just to hear my name called, and then, like I said, that's why I asked you, like I said earlier, about teams that needed receivers. Like you kind of know, as the draft unfolds, the teams that are up next, you're kind of like, okay, I know I'm probably going to go here. They need
possibility to go here.
So when I was on the draft board and I saw the guys that were going before me, I think it was Green Bay and then San Francisco, and then Green Bay. I had worked out for Green Bay. I was really high on that board. I moved up, and then they chose, I think, Derek Mays. And then San Francisco was up, and I'm like, I didn't think I was going to go to the San Francisco 49ers. And then, so I was like, okay, I'm probably going to go to the fourth round. Then they called my name. I was shocked, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I said, everybody has different expressions of emotions. Yeah, so like I said.
But usually it kind of happens like that. Like I say, you'll have the teams that really like you, and like you're thinking it's going to be that team, and then like, oh, this team really didn't work me out, or they ain't been calling my agent.
Right.
And that's the one that drafted you, like, oh well, that's my new favorite team, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
So who was your favorite team growing up?
Falcons.
Falcons,
Yeah,
really?
my dad is a Falcons fan, so
Really?
he live in Tampa now, but his whole house, he has a gym in his garage. It's falconed out, falcon carpets. His truck is red and black. He got
really. Oh, he a dirty bird for real.
Yeah, he got a little ball in the house. It's all falconed out.
Speaking of dirty birds, I was just with Jamal Anderson this past weekend.
Yeah.
So then I know I'm good friends with Julio Jones, who played with the Falcons.
Yeah,
So,
that's his team right there. So.
That's who he's rooting
I
for.
know he won't say it. He won't say it, but I think,
team, I'm sure it's going to be wherever you land.
Yeah, we're going to see.
And he's going to renovate that whole Falcon team.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, though. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't.
Say, who's the Falcons' rival? Would it be Tennessee? Who would be the Falcons' rival? Saints?
Yeah.
So if you go to the Saints, that's what I want to see. What you gonna do with Nate? You know, that's.
He brought that up. He said he might shed a tear, but he'll be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's fun. Yeah. That's fun. So again, how I guess influential were your parents in this whole process is going, picking the right school and now, going through this NFL draft process?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, first of all, the strongest person I know. You know what I'm saying? My parents got a divorce when I was 8th grade. And my mom, I have 3 siblings, we all stayed with my mom. So her, single mom, working hard for 4 kids in the house, putting food on the table for 4 kids in the house isn't an easy thing to do. So her doing that, obviously I wouldn't be here without her. And she's tough as hell too. I get my toughness from her. So then my pops, he was my first coach ever. He's the one who got me into football. And I didn't want to play football at 7 years old. Honestly, I was playing soccer. And I was like, I like this more. I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to try and avoid getting hit.
Light skin.
So, well, obviously that's changed. You know what I'm saying? Like I was 7 years old. I'm like, I don't want to put on a helmet and go play football. But he made me stick to it. And every single, this story, he's actually benched me before when he was my coach. And everybody's like, why you benching your son?
Very thankful and grateful that he did do that.
So just like him doing things like that, and just kind of showing me how to grind and how to, play the game and have fun with it as well. Obviously their support means everything to me, so.
Sunday Lawn. Spring is here and that means it's time to get your yard looking fresh. But if you don't like having all the pesticides, maybe you have kids or pets or just don't want to mess with the stuff, there's a new game in town. Sunday can help you grow a beautiful lawn without all the guesswork or the nasty chemicals. Traditional lawn care lays down about 90 million pounds of pesticides each year, but not Sunday. They make it so you don't have to choose between having a beautiful yard and the health of your family by using natural materials like seaweed, molasses, and more, which are 100% safe. Simply head to the website, give them your address, and they'll create a custom nutrient based on their soil analysis tool and climate data. Before you know it, it'll be delivered to your door, and from there, just attach the ready-to-use pouch to the house and spray it. It takes less than 15 minutes. Full season plans start at just $129, and you can get 20% off at checkout when you visit getsunday.com/popcorn. That's 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/popcorn. But you know what? I want to get in a little bit deeper into that receiver conversation because Cooper Kupp, obviously not the biggest, strongest, fastest. Devontae Adams, not the biggest, strongest, fastest. But we're talking about them as 1 and 2 in the NFL right now, right? But every combine, they want to take 6'3", 215. He's the best receiver since Moss. He's the best guy since T.O. And so all these things happen every single year. You're not 6'3", 215, right? I was a big receiver coming out. And even I'm to the point now, like, stop saying he's the best receiver in the draft just because he's 6'3", 215. Yeah. Like, can we get over the fact that it's the skill set and the fit and the character of that football player that's going to make them the better football player?
I think honestly, what you're talking about, there are trends too. There's trends to the measurables of which they're evaluating guys from. Because you see, like I said, the names of myself, Randy, you got Calvin Johnson. There was
Fitzgerald,
like
I said,
you mentioned yourself. You're 6'2", 6'3", and above, like 215. That was the measuring stick. Those are the blueprints of receivers that teams were looking for. Right. But as you said, you got guys like Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. Quick feet. All these guys, they're
dominating the game.
Yeah, they don't fit that trend. Right. As we once were. So now they're kind of carving out a niche to where it's not all about height, what I mean? And they're dispelling a lot of that.
Like, what would you say to the general managers who are putting 6'3", 215 in front of you right now?
I mean, for me, it's at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not sitting in those offices. I'm not in his brain, thinking what he's thinking. For me, it's if, half the GMs want to think the 6'3" guys and the other half don't want to think me, I'm going to pay more attention to the guys who think me, you know what I'm saying? Right. So for me, when it comes on the draft day, it's whoever pulls the trigger on me is going to get a dog,
Right,
and, many people are like, oh, yeah, he's not 6'3", he's not 200-something pounds.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, I can't say nothing but just wait and see, and that's within myself. I know that all these guys who are put in front of me right now, at the end of the day, 10 years from now, my name is going to be the one that people remember.
Yeah, because I think, like you just said, there's something inside of you, like something inside of Hatch that made us who we are. Like, even with me now, there's something inside of me, there's something you can't measure.
Right.
You can't put a measuring stick to. You know what I mean? So like I said, I don't really like where the trends are. Like, oh, you got to be this height. Yeah, that helps. You know what I mean? If you're bringing a complete package, and if you can sustain that, going into the league. But like I said, just because you're tall or you weigh a certain thing, that's not going to be
Doesn't translate to a good football player.
It's not gonna
There's
make
too many
you,
variables for football
right,
players.
it's not going to make you somebody that that they've seen before, because everybody is different.
Yeah, absolutely. For, I guess, receivers especially, right? The 40 thing. What'd you run in the 40? Like, what's your best time in the 40?
4.43.
4.43, right? And again, same type of thing. He runs a 4.2. He's ready for the first round, right? But how can you run by somebody who's a 4.3 or 4.2 guy and you're a 4.4 guy? Because a lot of people don't understand that. Like, I felt like even when I was 35 and old, I could go run by a rookie DB who ran a 4.2 because there's a certain way to do it.
Right.
So how are you going to get open and run by people who run 4.2s and 4.3s?
Well, that starts with the finesse in the game. Like, it just depends on, all right, this safety over top of me ran a 4.2. And I'm like, I definitely don't run no 4.2, but at the end of the day, one, what's the play, what's my route, how am I going to stem off the ball to make him think that I'm doing something else? Also, at the end of the day, game speed is a lot faster, but as a receiver, I feel like you're not really running your routes like 1,000 miles per hour, because it's a very small amount of people who are running 1,000 miles per hour that can just stop on the dime.
Right.
So it's showing the illusion of speed as well. Right. So, and he's in the back pedal, so that he's already at a disadvantage when I'm coming off the ball. I'm showing him that I'm, booking it, and he gonna have to respect that. So once he open up, that's where, I could, depending on my stem and stuff like that, kind of working within there. Then I see him make that one false step, open up, then boom, I'm going the other direction, things like that. So it just becomes with, showing the illusion of speed and showing him, that I'm going to go left, but I'm really going to go right, things like that.
Is that a coach thing? Did you learn that, like, by a coach that you got coached by, or you kind of just figured that out throughout playing?
I actually learned that from Anquan Bowden. So when I was doing combine training, he was a position coach down there in Fort Lauderdale at XPE. Okay. And he was like showing us how, him and the trainer, Tony Villani, they're showing us.
Tony.
Like, yeah.
What's up, Tony Villani? That's my old trainer. We started a long time ago with Tony.
Yeah. He was big on the illusion of speed. He showed us Julio Jones ran a post corner, and it was a while ago. And it looks like he's moving.
Right.
And they said, they asked us how fast you think he's running. And everybody's like 18 miles per hour, 19 miles per hour. He was running 13.1 miles per hour. But he completely broke off the corner and ran, and we're like, for me, I'm like, that's mind blowing, because I've been taught like, go, 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 what I'm saying? Right. Like, but it's a way to do that and a way to go about it, especially when, depending on your route, the way you're supposed to be doing it. Yeah.
Everything.
Knees and elbows. I'm looking like I ain't moving nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it all started there, and I never understood till I got to that point. So I feel like that's why, you watch Senior Bowl film, you watch combat film, the way I'm running routes, just like being coachable and seeing that in that time period, and the way Anquan Bowden was like jogging through the routes and showing us steps, and, we're walking routes for the first, month we're there. Yeah. And I'm like, we training for the draft, why are we walking?
Yeah.
But in his head, he's sitting there and he's trying to teach us how to do it right,
Specifics
because a lot of guys are just taking off going, but we're getting out of our breaks so much slower. So his whole thing was getting it down to the T as far as steps, and also like understanding when to run full speed, when to slow it down a bit, and things like that. So yeah.
So I mean, you don't seem like the diva type today, but there's gonna come a day where like, he acting a fool. Because I mean, as receivers, we all have that persona. I'm the man. I need to, have the ball thrown to me more, whatever that
Yeah.
thing is, because you have to have that type of confidence. Right?
Everybody don't have that Cooper Cup demeanor.
But inside, I'm sure Cooper does. He feels like he has to because he's an ultra competitor. You see what I'm saying? But he just it doesn't come out.
Right.
you
We
know.
don't see it
We don't
on
see
display.
it. We'll never see it.
Right.
But what have you had in your past? Like, has anything ever came up where you don't have to necessarily curse somebody out that you want the ball or you want more, but anything that you've crossed your path internally, like, look, that could have been bad. That could have went bad right there, but you kind of handled it the right way.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say like I'm the yelling type. You know, I was a two-time captain my last 2 years. But for me, it's like I can lead by example. I love showing, people how to get things done and how to do it correctly. But the thing that I struggled with was being more vocal and trying to figure out, does that mean yelling and cussing guys out, or does that mean pulling guys aside, and things like that. So for me, I was the type where, when I felt like stuff was going bad, I would never, my first initial reaction wouldn't be to just bark at somebody and start going, because at the end of the day, everybody handles that differently, where I feel like I can handle every style. My teammate might not be able to handle that, and like I said, I'm a big time team guy. So just because I want to sit there and yell at everybody and that's my captain style, doesn't mean that, if I'm sitting here yelling at this dude and he don't take that well, then now it's like, screw this dude, and I never wanted to be looked at like that through my teammates. So for me, everybody can handle pulling them aside and talking to them.
A conversation.
So, having just a simple conversation. And then for me, I feel like all I did was keep it real, my teammates and, staff and things like that. So when things were gonna get bad, for me, it was like, I'm not gonna sit here and just let it soak in and hold it in myself and make myself mad. I'm gonna pull my quarterback aside and tell him what I saw and tell him why I thought he should have done this. And if he disagrees with me, cool, explain to me why he disagreed with me, then we could come to, conclusion as far as what we're gonna do to move on. So for me, it was just never ever just getting on somebody, yelling at somebody, cussing somebody out.
Yeah.
It was more of just pull them aside and have a conversation.
Yeah, I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
Chris Carter was the hollering. He would get on us, and I'm like, I never.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
I wouldn't go into a shell, but I didn't react the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like those things. Again, I took it differently because he wasn't a coach. I think I would have took it different. It was a coach, but he wasn't a coach. So I remember those things bothered me as a younger player. And then as an older player, I felt more like you, there's a lot of different ways how to handle certain situations.
Yeah.
So give us your top 5 receivers of all time, my man. Since I know you've been watching ball for 22 years. You're 22 years old, that's all you got. But it seems like
This is like your
professional opinion.
Your opinion, this ain't, look, bro.
Okay.
It's who you think.
You can't be wrong, right?
Right.
And in no specific order at all.
Yeah.
Just one
Who
through
I
5.
grew up watching, the first person I wanted to be like was Ocho Cinco.
Okay.
That was the first person.
Shout
I
out
wanted
to
be
my
like.
boy Chad.
Shout out to Ocho.
Look at Chad. You getting shout out to Chad.
I would say him.
He got some of the quickest feet that I've ever been around.
I was probably one of his first teachers, just so you know, at Langston. Yeah. So go ahead, keep going.
I would say
I touch everybody, buddy. But go ahead.
Jerry Rice. That's somebody,
Jerry?
I think he'd
Two
be my
people
number
that
one.
I know closer.
If I have a number one, I'm not going to number the rest, but Jerry Rice would be one.
Yeah.
Then so we got 2. I watched a lot of Julio growing up.
Okay.
My dad put on a
Bama
game and
boy.
watched them, the whole time. So Julio.
That's 3. Okay. Got 2 left for the 2 spots.
Ocho, Jerry, and Julio.
And then, so for me, the main reason why I chose Ocho Cinco is because the way he, how fun he was. So
personality
for me,
of
I
the
like
gotta have fun
I
with
like
the game.
watching somebody put on a show.
Yeah.
So I would have you on there.
Oh, when he said put on the show, I knew I was
That's
next.
not like.
I knew I was next. When he said put on the show,
You
this
feel
what it is, right?
You gonna cry, buddy. You gonna cry.
man.
Like when you were.
Okay, that's poor. I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna go buy your jersey.
You gotta send the jersey up here now, buddy.
When you had ran to the star, like that right there, like seeing stuff like that, a lot of people what did all that disrespect for me. It's like that's the game, you know what I'm saying? I love that, So and seeing that at a young age too, I can't remember how old I was. I'm like, I'm gonna do that, you know what I'm saying?
day.
That's funny,
Man,
one day.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. It was just having fun with the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what you got to do. You got to, if you're gonna
gotta
play this
enjoy
game
it,
that's
man.
violent, you gotta find some
Stressful.
love in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
we've already talked about. I know we got one more. You got a name. Talked about how much of a grind it is, how much work you put into it, not only just physically but mentally. You know what I mean? You don't know how more exhausted you are if you mentally are going through some things and you're exerting a lot of physical energy. So I mean, that's how I saw it. Like, so the touchdown celebrations that everybody saw, man, that was just me really
a release.
It was an outlet for me just to go have fun with the game. Because if you take it too serious, you're gonna miss out on a lot. And honestly, like I said, I had fun, but I've even told people, I wish I could have even had more fun. Because there were some times I was just too much football. You know what I mean? But yeah, one more.
You know, I'm gonna go with
Ocho, Jerry, Julio,
T.O.
That's right.
I'll say
Ocho,
I like to.
T.O.
I like watching a lot of Megatron too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
So you got what?
that's a good 5.
3 Hall
That's
of
a good
Famers
5.
out of that 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio's on his way.
Yeah,
Julio's on his way.
three solid. You know what I mean?
Julio's
They're
definitely on his
legitimate.
way, yeah.
Out of the 5, that's dope. Chad should be a Hall of Famer, to be
Chad,
honest. I mean,
Chad
you
might be
think
there
about
one
the
day.
numbers, that he's put up, in comparison to some other guys that
are in there.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other guys, they got maybe a Super Bowl or 2 more than him. But looking at the criteria, that doesn't automatically, induct you to the Hall
we
of
know
Fame.
how that works. Obviously,
So it's all about numbers.
All right, there it is. Well, let everybody know where they can find you on your social media, man.
Yeah.
Instagram and Twitter, King_Khalil 2. I'm really just on Instagram, really. So follow me on there. That's where you can keep get the updates on my life and all that. So
There it is.
What's up, man? Get y'all popcorn ready, man. My guy Khalil Shakir is in the building.
2022
Yes, sir.
NFL Draft coming up.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming on, man.
yeah, appreciate y'all.
There it is.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn ready. See you guys next week. Yee!